In our last class, we stopped at this place. We're able to add
Yes.
to do, and we're able to display to do, and while displaying to do, we're able to delete to do. So
Yes.
today we want to do some other things. We want to be able to edit a to do. You know this displays to do. This display to do
Yes.
is the one displaying all the to dos. So
Yes.
we want to add an input to edit that particular to do. But before then, there will first be an edit button. When the user clicks on this edit button, then an input will spring up. Again, there will be a button. When I click on this edit button, an input will spring up. Then I can edit that to do, and then there will be a save button beside it. So let's do that together.
Yes.
Number one, let's first put edit button beside each to do. So we're going to put it here. Since each to do is represented, will be displayed inside this place. So we're going to put an edit button beside each to do. So edit
To do.
to do. So when we click on this edit button, we want to see an input. So let's do something. Let's add the input for a start. Initially, this input will be hidden. It's not going to be shown on the screen until we click on this edit button. Hope you understand what we want to do.
Yes.
Okay. So let's do that together. What you're going to do is this. For each of the to do, for each to do, we are going to add a property called maybe edit. For each to do, we are going to add a new property called edit. So initially that property will be false. When we click on this button, we will now change that property to true. I come again. For each to do, we have a property called edit, and initially that property will be
It's not
false.
that false.
When we click on this button, we will now change that property to true. That's the next thing we want to do. So let's go to our add to do. When we are adding a new to do, remember this is the to do itself, this is the done. Abi now.
Yes. Yes.
So we now add another one
Ed-
called
Edit into
edit,
it.
and that will be false.
Hmm.
So when we click on this button to add a new to do, it's going to create this object. Then this object will have the to do, it will have the done, and it will have edit. Then we are pushing it, we are sending it to this my new to
New
do.
to do.
Inside this my to do dot
Hmm.
js. My
Yes.
new to do. Where is it? Okay, we are adding it to this place called. I'm coming. I want to look at the name we used here. My new to do. If it is my new to do, then here it should be my new to do. My new to do. Did we change the name? New to do.
Yeah, we changed the name.
Okay, yeah, this is it. New to do. We are saying new to do is my new to do. Yes. So it is this new to do here now. New to do, which is add new to
Yeah, we
do.
passed
So
it.
this is it.
Okay.
Yeah. This is it. So we are pushing it inside the all to do set
To
all
do.
to do's. Do you understand what is going on now?
Yes.
So each of the to do now, we now have the edit property which should be false initially. Let's move on.
So sorry, please. Can I this your open editor, can you close it so I can see the full screen of
You
your
said
code? I'm saying like this open editors on the left of your screen showing the components and everything. Can you please close it so I can see the full
like
screen?
this.
Exactly.
Okay. So next is We now know that initially each of the edits for each of these to do my to do now, we now have a property called edit inside it. So we are now going to say if my to do dot edit, if it is true, then display this input. If it is false, don't display anything. Do you understand?
Yes.
And you know, initially it is false, so it's not going to display
Yes.
anything. That's the next thing we want to do now. We can now say if, so if my to do, remember we are inside this map, so we have access to this my
Yes.
to do. My to do represents each of the to do.
To do.
So we can say if my to
Yes.
do dot edit, that is if it is true now, then display an input. Else display, we can just display empty string, or you display null. So initially now it is not going to display this input because it is false, so it will display null initially. So what we want to do is when we click on this button, we will now change this edit property for that particular to do. We will now change it to true. Do you understand?
I don't understand that, please.
Okay, now you know we are inside this map, Abi.
Yes.
Inside this map we have a delete button to delete that particular one, Abi.
Yes.
Then we have this edit button to edit that particular one.
Yes.
So when we click on this button, we will now change the edit property. Remember, each to do has an edit property inside it.
Yes.
So we now change the edit property of that particular to do to from false to true. You know, initially it is false.
False. That's the
So we
default.
now change it to true. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. So let's do that together. And click. Edit to do. Now we need to know the particular to do that we are trying to edit. Since this map, remember, whenever you are running map, it's going to run the codes based on the number of items inside all to dos, Abi.
Yes.
So we need to know the particular one that we are trying to edit. So we need to pass the index as a parameter to this function called edit to do.
To do.
Hope you understand it.
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Okay. So here we are passing it as a parameter to this edit to do function. So let's work on this. Let's create this function edit to do. But now there's a little problem. The problem is that this component does not own all to do, so it doesn't have the right to edit it. I hope you get it.
I don't understand that
You
statement.
said?
I don't understand that statement, please.
Okay, look at it. Let's go back to my to dos. No, this is all to dos, right?
Yes.
Let's assume all to dos is an, you know, all to dos be an array of objects, Abi.
Yes.
So let's assume all to dos look like this. Let's say, let me just use a single L. Let's say it looks like this. We have to do each object we have to do. Let's say sleep. It will have done. Initially done is false. It will have edit. Initially edit is also false. So let's add two more to dos. So let's assume this is our all to dos. Do you understand to this part?
Yes.
Now, if I click on this button inside this place, when we click on this edit button for the first one, you know this map will display the three of them.
Yes.
So this button will also be present in each of them.
Yes.
So let's now say I clicked on this for the second one. That means I am trying to change this first to 2 for the second one. I'm trying to change this to 2. That's what you are trying to do. Do you understand?
Yes.
So
Yes.
now that cannot happen inside this component. It can't happen inside the display to do component because it doesn't own these all to dos. Remember, the owner of a component must be the one to edit that component or to alter that component.
Yes.
So because this component does not own all to dos, so it cannot edit or it cannot change anything inside all to dos. It needs to happen inside this my to do.js. Do you understand?
Yes.
So that's the next thing we want to do. We will click on the button here. When we click on this button, it will now know that, oh, this is the index, and it will now come here and change the edit property for that particular one from first to 2. That's what we are trying to do.
Okay.
So let's move on. So okay, let's go back now. Edit to do. We create the function called edit to do. Let's create the function together and pass it down to these components. So the function will be here. Come. Remember, since the all to do's is inside this my to do component.
Yes.
First edit to do equals to index.
Yeah.
So we pass it down. So we are passing this whole function down as edit to do also. So we can now come to this component and receive it as a pop. We will destructure it out. So with that now, we can now, this line will not go back any error.
Use of it.
So when we click on this
Okay.
button,
Now I get.
it will call on this function. It will pass this index here as a parameter to this edit to do. Then we can now receive it. Let me save this. We can now receive it inside this my to do.
To
We
do.
can now receive it as index. Hope you understand.
Yeah, I get it.
Let me give it another name. Let me just use ind or I, just to show that it's not a must that it is
It must be index.
index. Yes, it's not a must that it must be index. So let me take this beside this. Let me place them side by side.
Does it mean you have to change the parameters inside the edit to do, or it can be indexed
You said?
regardless? Does it mean that you have to change the parameter to inside the function inside the button, or it can be indexed there and it can be in the
No.
other side?
Whatever you write inside this place will be the one you pass here.
Okay.
Remember, whenever we are using map,
Okay.
the
But-
first argument of map is each object, is each value, each item inside
Object of
this
the-
array. Abina.
Yes.
The
Yes.
second one is the index. So we are now
I get
passing that index to this place so that we'll be able to know the one that we click on. If this is I, then this one will also be I.
Okay.
Do
I
you
get
get
it. Yes.
Okay, let's move on. So let's now go to my to-do now and complete it. So we are getting it as this. We are getting the index now. We can now use the index to edit that particular one. So let's do it together. Let's see. Let's new all to-dos equals to all to this. So we are spreading everything here. What we are just doing is we are duplicating all to this. We are duplicating
To
it.
do.
So it is now new all to this. What we don't want to directly alter all to this. I think I've discussed in one of our classes. We don't want to directly alter. We could have done something like this to make our work easy. We could have done something like this. All to those index. Sorry, ind. You know this ind. We point to the index, Abby.
Yes.
We can now say dot edit equals to so This will
Ah,
seem to work, but
I
we are
don't
going to run into one or
know how
two
to
issues
use
if
it.
you try to use this approach. Because what you are doing is, with this approach now, you are editing your state directly, which is a taboo in React. If you want to edit your state, you need to use
A
this function
pabo.
called set all to this. We are not allowed to
Okay,
edit our
like
state
directly.
directly.
Mm. Since that's the function, Abby.
You said?
I said that's the function that can alter it directly.
Yes, yes. So we can't use this. So what you can do is we can create a new variable. Let new uh to this equals to dot 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 to this. So we are duplicating it now. We can now do whatever we want with this new all to this.
What do you
Okay.
mean? Sorry, I'm sorry, please. What do you mean by duplicating? Like we are calling the we are renaming it inside the function, literally.
What we are doing is this new all to dos is the same as your all to dos. Like whatever you have
How
inside
to
your all
do
to dos is now available inside new
inside the
all
new how
to
to
dos.
use.
But just that they
The
are
way you
now
said
two
duplication,
different objects. They are not the same. Do you
they're not the
understand?
same. How are they not the same?
They have the same
Since we are
item,
duplicating them.
but whatever you do to this new all to dos will not affect all to dos.
Okay.
If you are doing it like this, if you are listening, you know they are the same also, like this.
Okay.
So, but
Yes,
whatever you
yes,
do to
yes.
new all to this will automatically affect all to this
How
immediately.
to do this.
If you try to do something like
Okay.
this equals to so instantly all to this we also change to 2, which is not good in React.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So by writing this or by doing it this way, you are spreading it. Now new all to this we have everything inside all to
To
this,
do this
but
without
they
altering it.
are two independent items now.
Yeah, I understand. They are different because of the spread
Yes,
function that is
yes, they
spread.
are different. So we can now do whatever we want with this new all to this. We can now say new all to this ind. This one will give us the index. Then we can now change the edit of that particular one to 2. So when we are now done, we can now say set all to dos.
Back to false.
Let it be
Okay.
new all to this. Do you get it?
Yes. So it will have effect on the spread and the
It now
new.
affects this one now.
Yes, I think I get it.
So immediately you do this now, instantly, when you click on this edit button, where is it? This button. This becomes true.
Yes.
This is going to change to true immediately, and your HTML pad will automatically know. So and this input becomes visible.
Okay.
It becomes visible. Let's move on. If I want to edit something, well, let's do something such that if we try to edit it, and I think it's going to be a good practice if the initial value, let's say, this is what I mean. Let's go back to this place. Remember, our to-do is an array of objects. So let's say our to-do looks like this.
Yes.
To-do sleep edit. First. Let me just ignore the delete for now. Should just
Okay.
focus on this two. Oops. I think someone wants to join the class. Good evening, sir. You're welcome.
Good evening, sir.
So let's say this is our all
Yeah.
to dos initially, and we click on that edit button for the second one. You know, this will change from first to two, Abby, based on what you've done.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I think it's going to be a good practice if we can display this text it's directly inside these inputs. Do you understand?
I don't.
If we can display the text we are trying to edit inside as the initial value of this input, I just feel it's going to be a good thing. So that immediately the user clicks on this button,
Yeah.
this text becomes visible, this input becomes visible, and at the same time, the text, this to do, will also automatically appear inside the input. I can now change it to something else. Do you understand?
I don't know.
This is what I mean. Imagine I have an input like this. Let's say we have an input here. So inside this input, the value
Yes.
will automatically be it. Since
Okay.
what you are trying to edit is it. So I'm going to see the initial
Yes.
value. I can now change this to anything else and save it. Do you
Okay.
understand?
Okay. Yes, I get it.
Okay.
Like we are altering the target value.
We should just see the initial value, then we can now change it to something else.
Okay.
So we can say set the value attributes, set it to my to do dot to do. We are setting it to this thing.
Okay.
Next is we want to
Okay.
save it.
So it will directly pick the index of whatever we are trying to edit.
Since we are inside this map, it will automatically pick up that. This my to do represent each object in that array inside this all to
Yes.
array. So it will now pick the to do of that particular one and display it here. Then let's add a button to save it. When we click on that button save, it will automatically save that to do.
We do.
Of course, if we've not clicked on this edit button, that save button should not be visible. Do you understand?
Yes.
So let's add it here also. A button. Okay, we run into a bug now, but we are going to fix it together. See. Now this is the hue we have. This question mark can only take one item. So what you're going to do is we can wrap all of this. We can wrap it inside
Curly braces.
or something like this. It has closed it itself. Remove this one. Yeah. Just wrap it inside a tag. Do you understand? Just like this.
Yes.
It can also be a div, it can be anything. But it expect that everything inside this page must be inside a container, just like your map. Everything inside your map must be inside a single container. Same way, everything inside this must be inside a single container. So that's why we added this. We can make it a div or anything, but I just like to make it empty this so that I won't create any extra div in my page. So when we click on this save button, we want to save that to do. We want to save it. That is, when we click on this save button, we will now take whatever the user types inside this place, then we will save it. It's now going to be the new value of the to do for that particular one. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Kazim.
It's not here again.
Oh, he has gone. Yeah. Okay. So next is, before we do that, let's first try to get whatever the user types inside this place at any point in time. So whatever the user types here is what we will save here. Whatever the user types here will be what we are going to save
Yes.
here. So the first is, let's first try to
Yes.
get whatever the user types inside this input. After we're able to get that, then we can now save it with this. So let's do that
Mm-hmm.
together. So we're going to say
Input.
inputs, inputs, we want to maybe get edit text. So when we type inside this place, it's going to call on a function called get edit
Edit
text.
text.
Then it will have event in it. Remember, purpose of your event
Yes.
will allow you to be able to get the event
Value.
dot targets.
Do you have to write it like this or just events? Like in the previous classes, you just wrote event.
You can write events, but inside this function, you will now get the event dot targets dot value.
Yes.
Do you understand? Or you can also get it
Yes.
here if you want to. So event, you pass it here. So let's get the function called get edit text.
Text.
Get edit text. But that's not all. We also need to know the index of that particular one that we are trying to edit. We are not trying to edit everything. We are trying
Yes.
to edit a particular one. So we need to get the index of that particular one that we are trying to edit. So let's do that together. We can pass the
Index there. For
here too. So let's now create a function to get the two. So first get
edit
edit text.
text.
E.
Okay, since it is not having to do with how to do, so you can write it.
Yes, we can put
function,
it here. You can put it, you get it. Let's assume we are changing how to do, then it needs to be inside this my to do.
To
But
do.
since it doesn't have to do directly with how to do, then you can put it here.
Alright, that's fine.
You can even try it. Don't worry, when we are done, we can optimize this a bit so that we won't even need to pass index as we proceed. We can optimize it and make it even much better. But for now, let's proceed with this approach. So when we type inside this place, the text inside it will pass as, like, it will be inside this E. The index will be this I and D.
D.
So we can now say we can just get a variable let data or entered text. Let's say entered text. The reason we are not making it states is that we don't want our HTML page to automatically get it. Let's assume we want the HTML page to immediately know that something has happened, then we make it a state. But since you don't want that to happen, like, it's not that you want the HTML parts to automatically reflect the changes. Hope you understand.
I guess it's okay. That use state.
Yes.
It is going to like immediately out it.
Yes, once you change a state, then the HTML part will automatically detect it and run this part again.
Okay.
So whenever you need to do that, then that's why we look at something. When we click on this edits and this button, we are going to call on this function, Abi.
Yes.
Then we are calling on this use states, this set all to this. We are calling on it. Abi now.
Yes.
Immediately you call on it, you are adjusting the state. Once you adjust the state, the HTML part will now know that something has happened. And with that, it will now know that, oh, this should be visible now.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So that's when we use state. Whenever you want the HTML part to reflect the changes, to know that something has happened, then you need to react to this. Then you make use of use state. But if you don't need to do that, there's no point making use of use state. we can just get a variable to undo it.
It.
So that's why we are getting this variable. We don't want the HTML part to reflect the changes immediately, since it doesn't really matter. Like for now, there's no point making use of use state. So initially, this will be an empty string. We can now say enter text will now be e dot target dot value. It's going to be, so whatever the user types inside this place automatically becomes the value of entered text.
Text.
Then the index also, let's maybe my index or anything be okay. For a start, it can be undefined. So we can now say my index, let it be I and D. So as user types inside this place, enter text becomes the value of the text, and this becomes the index of that particular one that we are trying to edit. Any question?
It's fine.
Okay, can we move on?
Yes.
Okay. So lastly, I think this should be the last part. This save button. When we click on this save button, we will now get the entered text and the index to know where to edit. That's the next thing now. So we can now click on this button. When we click on this button, you can say save edit. Save edit. We're going to get a function called save edit. Let's get the function together. But now this save edit needs to affect to do. Do you get it?
Yes.
So somehow
because you are changing the state.
We are still coming back to this my to do something
To do.
there. But for now, we can still create it here. First, save edit equals to just say just like this. So we need to get this entered text and the my index. When we get the two, we can now pass the two of them to this my to do's to complete it. So let's come to this my to do and create a function called complete save edits. Const complete save edit. So we are expecting the text. We are expecting the index. Hope you understand what you are doing.
I'm guessing it.
Okay. We are expecting the
That's
text.
getting the text.
Or we're expecting the index. So let's pass the two down to this place. So let's pass the function down to this place. Complete save edit equals to let's just call it complete save edit or complete edit. I just call it complete edit equals to, I think that name is too long.
Yeah.
So, complete edit equals to complete save edits. So let's now come to this place and the structure complete edits. So the structured complete edit. So when we click on this save edits now, where is it? When I click on this button, let me take it to the next one so that it becomes clearer. Let's break this like this. Let's break this like this. Yeah. So when we click on this button, save edits, to save it, it's going to call on this function save edits. Then this function save edits, we now call on this complete edits.
Edit.
So let's now call on complete edits. Complete edits. Then we can now pass the entered text and what? The
Index.
my index. So the two of them now will be sent to this place. Then we can now do something. We can now say let's new all to
All
this
to this.
equals to dot dot dot
All to this.
all to this, then new all to this index of index, like get the position and change the
Mm-hmm.
value of the to do at that position, change it to the value of text. Do you understand what you are doing?
Ah, no. I didn't answer that rule.
Now look at something. Each to do has something called to do.
Yes.
We are trying to change the text inside that to do to whatever the user feels inside that to do.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So that's why this index will tell us the position. Then we now change that to do property to text. Do you get it now?
Change the to do property to text.
Okay, look at it. Let's come back here. When we click on this save edits, we are going to call on this function, Abby.
Yes. Yes. Save your account.
This function will set the entered text, whatever the user enters inside this place.
Mm-hmm.
It will send it as the first parameter, then it will set the index as the second parameter, the index of that particular one that you are trying to edit.
Yes.
Do you understand that part?
Yes. Yeah, I get it.
So it will now call on this function complete edit. Then this complete edit comes here and run this code. The text enter text becomes the value of text. The
Text.
index there becomes the value of index. Do you understand?
My index. Yeah, I get it now.
Do you get it?
Yeah, I get it now.
Okay. So now we are spreading this and we are changing the to do of that particular one to this
Mm-hmm.
text. Then next is normally, since we've saved the edits, normally we ought to hide these inputs now. Since we are done, these inputs
Yes.
and this button, we can now hide it again. Do you understand? So we can
Yes.
now, to hide
Yes,
it
I
again,
get
all we need to
this.
do is to say new all to dos index dot edit, set it back to what? False.
False.
Yeah, set it back to false. You know, once it is
Okay.
false, this condition
You wrote
becomes.
there's two W. here.
You said?
There's two W in that your new how to do's.
Oh, thank you.
Two W, yeah.
Yes, thank you. So once it is false, then this condition becomes.
So reset it again.
This condition here becomes false. Like it's not going to see this now. It will just display this null alone. So we can now say set to this. Set it to
Set
what?
all to do's.
New to
New
this.
all to do's.
And that solves the problem. So let's go over it together. Let's go over it. We still make use of our what's it called? Our use effects. We still make, but for now, let's first ignore it and let's see how this thing works. We still make use of our use effects now. But for now, let's understand this before bringing in use effects. Let's go over it, everything again. Now, for a start, we have all to this. All to this, we start as an empty array. Let's comment out this part. So I'll just use this to explain. All to this, we start as an empty array. Then we are adding each to do here. We are adding each to do here. Now we now said we want to add a new property to each to do called edit. Each to do. We have a new property called edit. The answer of the new property is this. We can use that edit to know if the user is trying to edit that particular to do or not. Remember, the assignment says let there be an input. If the user clicks on this edit button, display the input. If the user does not click on this, don't display the input. But the question is, how do we know if the user has clicked on that edit button or not? That's the essence of adding this edit to each input. So when we click on this edit button, when we click on this edit to do, the edit property of that particular to do will change from false to true. Immediately it changes from false to true, then this input becomes visible. That's the end of this conditional statement. This conditional statement says that if the edits, my to do dot edit, if it is true, then display this input. But if it is false, display null. So, and by default, it is false by default at the start, because what we have here is that when we create a new to do, let the edit property be false.
Be false.
So by default, that input becomes invisible. It's not going to show on the screen. Let's move on. Next is this. When the user clicks on this button now, we want to change the edit property from false to true. So when the user clicks on edit to do, we want to create a function. We are going to call out a function called edit to do. But if we are trying to edit a to do, or if we are trying to change the edit property of a to do from false to true, we need to know the index. We need to know the particular to do that we are trying to change the value of the edit property. Do you understand? We need to know that particular to do that we are trying to change the edit property from false to true. So when user clicks on this edit to do, we are going to call on a function called edit to do, and we pass the index of that particular to do as an argument to that edit to do. So let's create the function together. So that's what we did here inside this my. So this is expecting an argument called ind. So whatever we send from that place becomes the value of ind. In this case now, the index automatically becomes the value of ind. So when we click on this button, the index will be sent to edit to do. So we pass the edit to do down as props. We pass the display as props. So we are calling on it here and we are passing this index. So when I click on this button, this function will be triggered. The function here will be triggered, and ind becomes the value of index. Do you understand?
Okay, now I get it now. Okay. Whenever we click on this function, immediately it will change the value to true.
Yeah, hey, it will change
the state from false to true.
Yes, and
so
we
we'll
are
be able to
setting
edit
it back.
it.
Yes. And because we are calling on this set all to do's, it means that we are saying that the HTML part should be executed again. So because it's going to run the HTML, our page will now know that this thing has changed from false to true. The input becomes visible immediately. You understand?
I guess it's
okay.
Yeah, I understand.
So next is we also want to.
That was okay. Sorry.
Okay. Then we are saying.
Never mind.
You said.
I said never mind. I was about saying something before, but never mind.
Okay. Then we added the value property, and we are saying the value should be my to do dot to do. My to do dot to do. To do is the text inside each to do.
Hello, sir.
So we are saying the value should be this text. Then, now as the user now types inside this input, we want to get the text inside that input and the index, that is that particular one that the user is trying to edit. We want to get the two. And I said that the best way to handle that would have been to create a new
I think Mr.
I don't get you.
Mr. Kozim, Mr. Jima was trying to talk, I think.
Okay. Please, can you ask a question, sir?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that display to do. I just want to ask the question. Please, can you go to that display to do, the component display to do, sir?
Okay, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that line, that what's it called, the ternary operator, that might to do the conditional statement. That's
Yes, sir.
line 22.
Yes, sir.
I usually can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I usually have misconception of how to interpret whenever I use ternary operator like this. Like when you say my to do dot edit, like based on my understanding, I was saying that if whatever is in to do, whatever I have in to do, if whatever it is, whether it is true or false. Like, can you just give a more clarification on how this scenario, like the more interpretation on the scenario operator? This
Okay.
just how this works with.
Okay. Let's come here and do something with it. Let's say I have a variable called a, and a is 5. We can now say if a is greater than 3, display I, else display hello. So what it's going to do is it will check if the value of a is going to check this condition if it is true or false. If the condition here is true, it will display I. If the condition here is false, it will display hello. Do you understand that part?
Yes, sir.
So, and since this condition is true, it will display I. Let's move on. Let's now say, we just say A, like this. A. Now what it's going to do is, it's
Okay.
going to check
Yes.
the
Okay.
value of A, if it is truthy or falsy.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
A is truthy, it will display I. But if A is falsy, it will display hello. And remember, 5 is truthy, Abi.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So that will display I. But let's assume the value of A is 0. 0 is falsy. So it will display hello. So what we are just doing there is this.
Okay, sir. Okay.
The value of edit, initially it was false. So we are now saying if edit display I or hello. Now this is falsy. False is falsy. So it will display hello. Do you get it?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. That's clear, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome, sir. So let's remove this now. So if it is 30, then it will display this. It will display everything here. But if it is fussy, it will display none. So when we click on this button, we are
No.
changing the value of the edit to do to what is it? To 2. And since it has changed to 2, then it is going to meet this condition. This is now 30. And because it is 30, this input becomes visible. And this save button becomes visible also. And because we are putting 2 items inside this page, that's why we are wrapping it with this. Now, next is
Okay, sir.
when the user types inside this input now, you want to get the text the user types and the index, so that you're going to know the particular position that the user is trying to edit. The user is not trying to edit all of them. The user only wants to edit one of the inputs, one of the to-dos, not all the to-dos. So we need to get the index and we need to get the text. So as user types now, we are calling on a function called getEditText, and this is the function. And the reason the function is inside this place is because the reason this is not inside my to-dos is because you are not changing anything inside all to-dos. Let's assume we need to change anything inside all to-dos as user types, then we need to take it to my to-dos. Do you understand? Try and get that. Are we
Yes,
confused?
yes.
Yes, sir.
Are we confused?
Unclear, unclear.
Okay, okay, okay. So, as user
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
types.
you can go ahead, sir.
Alright, so as user types inside this place, we are getting the text. Now, we are not using state here because we don't want our HTML parts to re-render each time we type inside that input. We don't want that to happen. So there's no point making it a state. Making it a state is like you are giving more, you are giving React more work to do. Because if it's a state, it means that user types inside it, it will keep rerunning this HTML parts, and that's not what we are trying to do. So just set it as a global variable like this. The enter text becomes the value of this, and you are getting the index also. Next, when the user clicks on this save button now, this save button, we are calling on a function called save edit. So this is a function called save edit. That function we now call another function called complete edit. So where is this complete edit coming from? It is coming in as a prop.
Bro.
So that complete edit, we are passing this enter text and this index with these two as parameter to this complete edit. So let's say the complete edit. This is it. Is here as complete save edit. So this is it. The text, the enter text comes here as text and the index comes here as index. So we can now change the to do, that is, you get the index of that particular one and change the to do to this text, and change the value of edit also to false. So when you are done, set it back. Immediately you set it back, the HTML part will automatically re-render. Remember, you are calling on use states here. So the HTML part will render immediately,
Yes.
and so that will reflect that changes. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Um, let's make one or two adjustments. I'm looking at where our use effects will come in. Okay, so remember we have our use effect here, and all to this is a
Yes.
dependency, meaning whenever all to do changes,
Yes.
the local storage will also save it immediately. Our local storage will automatically be updated. What adjustment do we still need to make? Okay, yeah, these parts, we need to make some little, well, this will work fine. Let's run it. This will work fine. The reason I don't want to run it because our screen recorder may now start misbehaving. So that's why I want us to complete everything before running it. We just run it to see what we've done so far. Do you
And let's
understand?
complete it.
You said?
Let's complete it.
Okay. So
So let's
this will
complete it
actually,
before we run
okay,
it.
sir. This will actually work fine. But I want us to make little adjustment to it to make our code even much better. Why are we making this adjustment? Look at this part. This part. This gets this an index. Now, you know that we are going to have many indexes inside this place. Abina.
Yes.
We're going to have
Yes.
many indexes here. So this we keep changing based on the one we are trying to edit at that particular
Edit.
time. So, but
Time.
the changes we are going to make to this code, we make it, in fact, we may not even need to create these variables like this. We may not need to. It's going to make it even much better. So let's do that together. We are going to create a new component entirely. Inside that new component, we can now take all of this, everything here, to that new component. I come again. We're going to create a new component entirely. Then we can now take this div, this old div, down to that new component.
New
If you wish,
component.
you can still create another component for this part again. Remember, the purpose of component is to make your work neat, so that you won't just pack everything together inside a single page.
One page.
So as time goes on, we may still even, in fact, I will even advise that you take this again and take it to another component. But for now, what we want to do is we want to take this div. We want to take the old div out of this place and take it to a different component. Now, when we take it to a different component, we can now pass the index to it, and our work will still work exactly as it is. Let's create a new component to undo that. What should we call it? Okay, we can call it show to do. Show to do. So we have this show to do.js. So now we want to, like I said earlier, we want to copy all of this div and bring it to show to do. I'll just come here and paste the O div. So for now, we don't need all of this here again. We don't need all of this again. Now we can now bring in show
To do.
to do. Of course, this has auto imported it and we are showing it. Yeah, showing you Walo.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this show to do, look at something very interesting here.
Yes, sir.
This show to do only has a button, only has a delete button, edit button, and mark to do. I've been now.
Yes.
But because it is inside map, it's going to run it based on the number of items inside all to dos. Shall I get them?
Yes.
So we can now pass the. Remember, whenever you are inside map, you need a key, Abby.
Yes.
The key is
So we have to pass the key.
index. Yes. Now we can even use the key directly. Yes, we can use the key inside this place now. Let's now come here. Show to the structure, the key.
We've not imported React here.
Oh, thank you very much. So we are importing the key here because this key is now the index. Let's also send this my to do. You know, my to do will represent each object inside all to dos.
To-dos. Yes.
So let's pass it down also. So my to do equals to my to do. So you see the two of them here. So we are destructuring the two of them here. So I don't need to put key inside this place again, of course. We don't need this place. So my to do now represents each object. It represents each object. So instead of saying index, what do we put now?
Key. Wow.
Yeah.
Plot twist.
Okay. Now, let's now look at this place. For mark to do, this mark to do, if we click on it, I'm trying to check something. This mark to do is not inside this place, Abi now.
It's not.
It's not inside this component. This mark to do is here. Is here. Abi now.
Yes.
Aha. So it means that we need to find a way of sending them to this show to do. We can pass them as props, Abi. Chat is showing you all
Prof. Yeah.
about our confused. Are we still following me? Can we hear me?
Yeah, we are following you,
Yeah,
sir.
the
Okay.
network is the
Yeah.
network that is
All
slowing
right.
our
All right.
response
Thank you,
down.
sir. Now, what I'm trying to explain is this. This mark to do. What we want to do is when we click on this button, this mark to do. When we click on this button, we want to mark that one as to do, but there's nothing here called mark to do. So there's no way we'll be able to call it here. Abi now.
Yes.
We can only call it here since it's available here. So we have two options. Option number one, we can send this mark to do also down to this show to do component. Do you understand the first option?
Yes.
That's option number
Yes, yes.
one.
Since
We
it
can
comes
pass it down
existence
like this and say mark
Have to do
to
what you
do
mark to do.
equals to mark to do. I think that would even be the best option to go around it. Then we can now come here and say mark to do. So this is fine now. We'll do the same thing for this and the same thing for this.
Edit.
That's
Sir, hello, sir.
yes, sir.
Okay, the second option will now be, I just want to suggest, I don't know if I will be right, that you should take all the like the function out of it and take it to my to dos. Like the second
Aha.
option.
We will take these ones out of this place and bring them back to this place.
Okay.
I'm looking at coming.
I don't get that too.
I'm looking at better way we can do it if it's possible for us to take these ones out of this place. Give me a second. Let me look at it. Oh, this is the way we are going to go about it. Let's leave it like this. Let's leave it like this. So this is fine now. Let's bring in delete to do and edit to do also.
Does it mean that this is the only option?
You said?
Does it mean that this is the only option to pass it down? Like
This is what my brain can suggest now. I don't know if I'm doing it some other time. Maybe it can suggest something else. Initially, like, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking there's a way, there's another way I can do it, but I don't know. My brain is not just loading anything. So this is what it can suggest now. So we can pass delete to do down and also get it here. Then same with edit to do. Do you get it?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm trying to get what. Okay, yes. Now I understand what I'm trying to say. What I was trying to remember the other time. So this is one option, and this will work fine. This will work fine. Another way you can go about it is to do something like this. You know this edit to do. Let it be the one to call on. I'm coming. Will it work? Yes, it will. So edit to do equals to edit. You are passing this index. What that means is here you don't need to pass index again. This will also work
Yeah.
fine. Whichever you're able to get, just use
Okay.
it. Tó bá jẹ́ lè lọ oyè wa dáadáa fine. Tó bá dẹ̀ yẹ pé eléyìí náà ni oyè wa. Do you
But
understand?
in past we were down as prop none.
As props, no, you still pass it down as props. Just that the index, you can pass the index right from this place, or you pass it here. It will still work fine. So whichever one you get. Now let's now come to this place. Edit, get edits to do. Remember, the reason we are stressing ourselves all of this is because I said there is a way we can do all of it without first creating a variable. I've been now.
Yes.
Especially for this index. Notice something. You know this index is now key, Abby.
Yes.
Is now key. Now, and this this component has a unique key. Once it displays this component, each of them has a unique key. Shall I get there? Let's come
Yes.
again. This is where we are
Yes,
displaying
sir.
the components. This is the place that's in display. While displaying it, we are sending the index as the value of key. Let me call this key and let's make it the first one so that it becomes obvious. So we are passing this index as the value of key, meaning that immediately React is about to display this component, it will pass a unique key to each of them. Then it will now display the components, right? So whenever we
Yes.
call on key inside this component, it now refers to the unique key of that particular one. Shall you understand?
Yes.
Whenever we call on key inside this component, it refers to the index of that particular one. Unlike the situation we had the other time, whereby we can't just call on index here. If you call on index, you know we have many indexes. I've been now. We are inside map.
Yes.
You can't just call on index. That's why we need to find a way of getting that index. Unless you will find a way of getting that index. But now, whenever we call on key will automatically refer to the index of that particular one.
Particular
So let's now find.
one.
Good, you understand it now. So we can now say, let's cut this one out of this place. Sorry. Okay. Cut this one out. Bring it here. Still need it here. So cut this function out. Bring it here. Now we don't need to pass this key again now, because whenever we call on key inside this component, it automatically knows the key we are referring to.
Person knows.
So we don't need this again. We don't need this. Do you understand?
Yes.
So let's now look at this save edits. Of course, I need to remove this one now. This save edits, cut it out of this place also, and bring it here. So instead of saying my index, just pass the
Key.
key, because key for these components is unique. Shall I get it?
Yes.
So when we click on this button, it's going to call on save edit. Save edit we call on complete edit. Now we need to now pass complete edits to this component. Complete. Yeah, I think we are done now. So what we are doing here is complete edits, complete save edit. We are passing it down as complete edits. Then from this place, we are also passing it again to this show to do. Then this is it. We are calling on it inside the save edit. Show you wala.
But we've not called. Have we called it? We've not Art, we're looking at. Okay.
Ati.
Yes. Like it's not. We've not passed it down as a prop fully now. Have you? I think we are going to put it
Oh,
inside our.
sorry. We need to pass it out. Thank you. Thank you. We need to pass it as a plot. Complete edit. That's when we can now call on it here successfully. You are right. We need to call on it. Yeah. Shall we play the act? You should play the act le. Taba fọkànbalẹ̀ kò le. Sincerely. Kò ló kàn lè dàrú ni but kò le. Kò le.
Are you live?
So let's save it and run it on the browser now. See if everything is working fine.
I don't think it has an option.
Now, I will send our assignment to us. By God's grace, we are not leaving this part until I won't have to do the solution for us to get it. Until I won't have to do the solution for us to get it.
So
So, we
another
start.
assignment, Pablo.
Is that?
So that means another assignment.
Yes, by God's grace. Until I won't have to do solution first. So if I get a full hour and so that the only reason why I will just do the solution will just be for doing sake. Then once we get it, we move forward. But I'm really trusting us that we'll get it. If you look at it, it's the same tactics, like it's the same thing, not that should tell it, the same method, the same thing. With the last assignment, the same thing, no, the same thing. So your next assignment will still follow the same pattern. Same pattern.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's better that way, sir.
Okay, sir.
I can have a shave here, man.
Exa-
Okay, my
exactly.
My
Or in
God.
my set.
Yeah,
Because really this thing just needs extra practice and
Yeah.
constant practice.
Yes, it does. Yes.
so while doing my assignment, but I later got it, sha. That's the essence of practicing. I usually find it difficult to pass when once what's it called, split my component. I usually find it difficult to pass what was it called, all of this function across each other. But I actually got the trick what's going on actually.
Okay. Shang Badun reacts.
Love Sean.
It's interesting. When you are done with React, then just ever gbé view by ẹ máa bínú.
Eh.
View will now look so simple. Like it's not going to look too simple to you. You feel like you need no simple to
Are
buy.
you need it?
I don't understand though. Like my binu.
Like ẹ máa bínú pé mo ń dà yín láàmú láti wá kọ́ yín React.
Eh.
Yes. máa bínú ká so ilé wọn bì kan ni mo wá ń dà yín
So
láàmú.
yet, so we still do view.
No, you won't though. I'm just saying that when you are done with React class, so you find it easy to understand Vue. But I always advise that you must know either React or Angular. Vue is not so compatible, but React or Angular, you need to know one of them. You need to. Although the two of them do the same thing, but the reason why it seems that maybe I prioritize React and Angular over Vue is because of the usage. The two of them are used by big organizations. Mostly, Vue is usually used for small projects. Small projects. But big organizations make use of Angular and React, or React the most. So
Okay.
that's why we prioritize that. Even know at least one out of the two, you can now, if you now wish, you can now add Vue to it. And Vue is the simplest among the two, so it's very easy to learn. Once you know one of the two, Vue will just look like it will be too simple to for you.
Amen.
Amen. Let me also claim it.
You know what those guys that did Vue did? They picked the simple part of React and the simple part of Angular to form Vue.
Okay.
So that's why
So make it
it's
very easy.
yes, it makes it easy. In fact, I think they said they want it to be like jQuery, and jQuery is easy. So they pick the simple part of. They make it so simple as simple as it can be. They make it so simple.
That the jQuery is also a framework for JavaScript.
It's a library, a JavaScript library, but it's no longer being
Oh,
used, being widely used. It has.
because I observed one day I was trying to inspect my school portal. I can see some kind of jQuery, whatever jQuery.
Uh, it's the most used JavaScript library anyway, but
To date.
yes, till date. That's because most, for instance, let's assume I built my company's app with jQuery. You don't expect me to now wake up one morning and start changing it to whether Angular, React, or Vue. No. Most organizations don't work like that because it's going to cost
Yeah.
them more. If it's working, don't touch it.
So jQuery will never die. That's just the thing.
Yes, but just that new app will not be built with jQuery.
Okay.
Most legacy apps ahead, they will still be running on jQuery, but new app won't be built with it. Okay, let's add new to do. Jump, Bonnie, jump with Siwa. Oh, the one in local storage. Remember?
Storage.
Yes, we saved in local storage. So let's add new to
And
do.
then, sir, why are all these buttons showing at first instance, sir?
You said?
Like all of these buttons underneath.
Yes,
Are they
because
are they meant to be shown at first?
Yes.
yes, sir.
When we
Because
click on the app, need to
there is
follow
an item.
Okay.
already.
This item was fetched from local. If I delete this to do now, all of them will not. None of them will be there again.
We have nothing to do.
Delete to do is not working.
Because based on how I did my own, none of the buttons will show at first instance.
Even if you are fetching it from local storage.
Actually, I haven't incorporated local storage to this extent. Actually, I
Okay, okay,
haven't.
okay. Delete to do is not working. Let's fix that part. Delete to do. So why are you not working? So let's check our console to check what's going on. Okay, everything looks fine. Let's come here now and say is working. Okay. Key is not a prop. Okay. Let's quickly fix this bug together. Now, it's not allowing us to pass this as prop. So, what we are going to do is we can key will be index just the way it is here. And we can now pass another one. We can just call it key to also be index. So it's not allowing
What does
us
that?
to pass this key as prop like that. Key should be key, something like that. So, okay, let's just say Ctrl H, change our key to K. There's one. So, I think I found now. Good. It's working now. Let's remove the alerts. So let's add new to do. Our to do is empty. I can say run. I can say maybe bits. Then let's add to it. Then let's say jump. So let's edit these bits. So we have this. Edit it to. It's not allowing us to change the value inside it. Let's fix that. That's because of the value attributes. Okay. Incoming. I think there is for these inputs value is this. There's this thing to use. Initial is it initial value now? I think initial value also. Initial value.
Which one is that one again?
Try to is the initial value. I want to first fix this part. You understand what you're doing. Come on. Initial value. I'm mixing something up. Default value. Is it default value?
Niger network. See as they load.
Is that?
No, we see Niger network. See as they load.
Let's first explain the problem we are having so that we understand why we are doing all of this. The problem is this. Let me change this back to value. You know, value is get whatever is the value of to do becomes the value of value, Abi. Abi now.
Yes.
Now what happens is
Yes.
this. If we reload this page now, to do is bait is fine, Abi.
Yes.
Now, if we now try to change it to something else, it's not allowing us because the value of this to do is still bits. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because this is still bits. So even if you try to do anything here, it's not allowing us to do that since this is still bits. So what you're trying to do is, I think there's a property in React to set the initial value like this, so that it will allow us to do that. See value now. This is two-way binding. Okay. Okay. Still not allowing us to. What's going on? It's not allowing us to do that. What is going on? What is going on? Okay, 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 okay.
On input.
And change this. Okay. So let's do something. Let's change this to use states. We'll change it to use states. Then change it to use states. Then we can now say okay. But this problem is a common problem. It's a common problem. This texts. Got the value of the income texts. Okay. Let's now see. should be able to edit this now. Yeah.
Wala, wala, wala.
Now let's discuss what's going on.
Does it mean we have to change that save edit too?
You said
I said, does it mean we have to? Okay, we don't need to change it. Alright, that's fine.
we need
Hello,
to.
sir.
Yes, sir.
I was thinking we need to change that number 9 to like that number 10, but I just realized that it doesn't matter.
That number
That's
9.
like the line 9, like the save edit that function, but I just realized that it's not necessary since it is still the same variable
Yes,
that
it will
carries
still be like before. Yes,
the
it will still
value.
be like
Yes.
before. Let's
Sir,
explain.
that line 7, sir.
Yes, sir.
Why can't we use the variable you have declared?
Okay.
Or why must that e dot target? Why can't we use the enter text
Okay, let's
in
discuss
that?
why
What is it?
it's not working and why we need to tweak
Okay.
it a bit and change it to states. Reason is this.
Oh,
The initial problem we had, I mean, one of those things that will make work so easy is spend a lot of your time understanding the problem first before you move to solution. It really helps to debug. It makes the debugging easier. When you first understand this is the reason why it is behaving this way, then you can now start thinking about solution. Let's first discuss why is it or why was it behaving like that initially. So that will help us to understand the reason we had to change to this particular solution. Initially, we did this. Let me comment this and use this. Initially, it was something like this. I've been now.
Yes.
Now, let's leave it and check what is going on. Oh,
Okay.
okay. So initially it was something like this, and we tried to change this. It wasn't changing it. Reason being that we set it here that value equals to entered text. Abi.
Yes.
I remember that in React, this HTML part will not render. It's not rendering this part. So despite the fact that we've changed the text inside this place, like normally as we are doing it, you expect that this should be reflecting it. But somehow, it's still using the value of
Default
this,
value.
the default value. That's because value is
My
entered
to do
text. So even when you try to remove it, it's like it's retaining it as the value of this input. So by using set state, what we are now doing is this: by changing it to set state or use states. Okay, by using use states, and we are still doing the same thing. But what you are doing is, as the user types inside this place, you are getting the value and you are setting it. You know, when you set it, the HTML part will be re-rendered again. Abi now,
Yes.
while re-rendering it, it will now be reflecting the new value. I don't know if you get it.
That's the effect of use case that it will change
So while
it will have
re-rendering
effect on
it,
HTML.
I don't know with that. I don't know why that is this static. This shouldn't give us that issue at all. Or they should. I think maybe view also. One of them has another property. Initial value. I think it's view. Initial value. So that instead of you can just use initial value. Do you understand?
Yes.
So let's assume React has something like that. I thought it's in React. Let's assume React has something like that. We won't have this issue. We just set the property initial value. So it's going to know that it will only serve as the initial value, not as the absolute value. Here it is using it as absolute value. That is, even if this should change to anything, if enter text should change to anything, this will automatically pick it up. Shall I understand the potential?
Yes.
So I thought React has, but React does not have initial value. I was mixing things up the other time.
sir.
So by using use states, as you start inside this place, you are doing something we call two-way binding. We are doing something we call two-way binding. Two-way binding is, as this one changes it, this picks it up. And as this one, as the HTML part changes it, the JavaScript picks it up. And if the JavaScript also should change it, the HTML part will also pick it up.
Reflect it.
Understand? So that is what is happening inside this place now. As you type inside this place, the JavaScript picks it up and set it. And as the JavaScript sets it, the HTML part also picks it up and set it. So that's what we are doing here. Shall I get there?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's now proceed to what we were testing the other time. So we can now change this bit to, oh, did I save it? Okay, I've saved it now. So what should we change it to? A swim,
Or fly.
a flag. Okay. So save, good, flag. Mark as done. Undo. Mark as done. Edit. Run. What should we change
Drown.
it? Is that?
Drown.
Okay. Good. So everything is working fine. You can delete all the to-dos also if you want to. If you want to, you can add new to-do. Any question?
Yes, I have like an observation. Like,
Okay.
can't you like when inputting like the new to do, like can't you just clear the input?
Okay. Immediately we add a new to-do, we should just play this
Yes.
inputs. So let's go to where we are adding new to-do. Okay. Where is it? New to-do. So what you can do is this inputs will set the value to be
To empty.
uh, my user input. So this will now change to status.
Okay.
Let's my user input set user input. So when we are done adding a new to do, we can now say set user input to empty system.
No. Nice.
So let's refresh now. So let's add it. Oh, it's not setting it. What's going on? It's not a function. Am I using something? Set user input. Oh, use states. Okay. Okay. Cool. It's not looking at. Let's take our time to understand what's going on. Okay. User input. Input. We are calling on this. Okay. As you type inside it, okay. Value. Oh, value is this. this. So it's not crying it. So why is it not crying? Out to be okay. Value needs to be this user appropriate. Initial value. I don't think this value is user input. Oh, my user input. So user input value is this. Okay. It's not picking it. We are facing something similar to what we faced the other time. I think most of the areas around this value. What is the value of this? And we type inside it. I just want to try this. Okay.
What's
I
down?
will read more on this part and understand why React is behaving like this.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So if you add anything, let's say I add, let's say done. It's working fine, but
Yes.
I'm going to understand why it is behaving this way. Okay, we put this value here, and you need to set it back again. So I'm just thinking this is as though you are repeating the same thing. I'll work on React and see why it's behaving like this and understand this part even more. This important.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other question?
None for now.
Okay.
Assignment.
I'll send the assignment to us on WhatsApp.
All right. Thank you. That's fine.
But you should get the video by tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a very good night.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Right.